Hey, Grant Cardone here today on Power Players. Thank you so much for joining me. Today we're talking about your health. I got a great guest, Dr. Kiltz, a renowned fertility doctor featured in the Wall Street Journal. This guy's a passionate advocate of the ketogenic carnivore diet for fertility and overall health and wellness. I'm gonna be talking to him today about, hey, do I go meat? Do I go vegan? How do I get rid of my inflammation? How do I continue to grow? We're going to be talking about carbohydrates, vegetable oils, plant toxins, some of the trends out there like red light therapy, cold plunges, and all sorts of things. So thank you for joining. If you hadn't subscribed to the channel, be sure you do so, and make sure you follow my guest today, Dr. Kiltz. Let's get to the show. Thank you so much for being here today.
What a pleasure. Thanks for the invitation. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I've been following you online and I'm very intrigued. I'm obviously very concerned with my own health and got involved in the whole health space about 3 years ago. So I was looking forward to asking you about some of the stuff that you're such an advocate for. And so a lot of people describe you as an intense guy. I said, well, I like intense people, so I couldn't wait to have you on the show.
Well, I've been enjoying your information, your excitement, your energy, and sharing also, by the way. So again, I think we're going to have a good time here today.
Let's do it, man. So look, I'm 65 years old. I have a tremendous amount. Just in the last couple of weeks, inflammation has shown up in my hands and my knees, okay? And you're telling me to go, I think you're going to tell me to go meat. But I just started adding meat to my diet again. And so tell me what do you think, first of all, is going on for me right now?
Well, you're a young guy. I'm 67, nearly 68. I've been carnivore for 15 years almost.
Okay.
And I used to suffer from arthritis, psoriasis, migraines, kidney stones, anxiety, depression, all those things. And I followed the standard doctor dietary guidelines for years. And I fell into Atkins for weight loss and energy a long time ago, 20 plus years ago. And then I found paleo helped me a lot.
What is paleo?
Paleo is, if you think of hunter-gatherers, fruits, vegetables, seeds and nuts, but there was meat involved and it included animal fat, I believe. And keto is kind of similar to paleo. It's a high fat diet, but keto, if you think about it, it's just a made up concept where you're finding more ketone bodies that are floating around in your bloodstream that may have some advantageous benefits to your health. And I did all those things, but still it wasn't rock solid. And I ran into some guy doing carnivore almost 15 years ago. The guy didn't exercise. He looked ripped and well. And I said, this one's for me. I personally went to a primarily animal fatty meat diet. And in 30 days, arthritis, psoriasis, migraines, kidney stones vanished. And so I've been on a journey to figure out why. And I'm a physician. I went into medicine to help people heal. But what I've learned is that a lot of the information we're all fed is mostly wrong. And it's somewhat propaganda, but it's our standard recommendations for so long, fruits and vegetables, seeds and nuts, and meat is bad, that we're hard pressed to change the dialogue. And so I believe that you might be on a meat-based diet, but if you're consuming plants of significance, you're likely getting inflammation from a plant-based, low animal fat diet more than anything.
So why is it, man? Because I'm trying to do the right thing, right? I don't drink a lot of alcohol. I drink like a couple glasses of wine once or twice a month. I don't use drugs at all. Nothing, like no Advils, no Tylenols, right? But I don't want the pain either. And so I went vegan for some period of time. I thought it had handled some of this. And then I don't know, maybe it's the sugar over the holidays. Because it just got
Certainly, when you have those treats, especially over the holidays, and you haven't been using those things for a long time, you are going to feel the aches and pains a little bit more. Because think of allergies. People might have an allergy to crab meat or to seeds or nuts. My daughter is allergic to avocados and bananas.
Wow.
So people are highly allergic to these things, and the point that they might have an anaphylactic reaction and suddenly not be able to breathe or systemically fall apart, and in some cases die without the proper emergent medications or treatments. So if I don't drink very often. I was off coffee for a year. I don't drink very much coffee anymore. And I don't consume plants of any significance or frequency. If I do notice a little bit of aches and pains showing up. But if I mostly eat one meal a day, I mostly eat bacon, eggs, butter, beef, and salt. So I'm very narrow on my nutrition, which I think is very critical. And ultimately, we are lions in our evolution. We were hunters. We were not farmers for the majority of our evolutionary history. And so it just doesn't make sense to the standard doctor message. I recently had some evaluation. I have high cholesterol. Now, my first thing my doctor says is, oh, you got to lower that. Here's a drug and you need to eat vegetables. But I know that that's not a true statement as we've been led to believe.
So what, my dad died of heart attacks, had heart condition for years. And so I think that was when everybody started saying, cut out the bacon, cut out the meat. What was the agenda? Because right now, everywhere I look, dude, every food that you eat, there's something wrong with it, right? Every plate you eat out of, there's something wrong with it. Like there's this trend now, like eat almost nothing. So what am I led to believe? Do I eat vegetables, meat, and then how did all this get started?
Well, the evolution of plant-based eaters and agriculture and a more sedentary life, larger cities, propagated a plant-based nutrition because you could feed more people that way. Hunting is not easy. I mean, if you and I had to go hunting today for our meals for the family for the week, it would be hard work.
Yeah, that's right.
The accessibility of these animals are not there anymore for sure. We've decimated the natural ranges for these animals. That's number one. And so we're so used to it in our evolutionary history for thousands of years. We're pastoralists. We're mostly farmers in our evolution and our social cultural history. I'm Italian, Catholic, Christian upbringing. Our social cultural norms are, around food and around our religions and our cultures. So it's hard pressed to say, gee, just eat meat, which I would tell you, you don't need to just eat meat, but the Ansel Keys and a number of others in the 70s and before that were sharing the idea that fat was the cause of disease. And if there are many books out there that talk about the evolution of why fat, but I believe that fat's getting blamed for what sugar does. And so, not eating fat, and people often cut it away from their food anyway. You're not hurting much by just not eating fat. But what it really did was it increased our risk of heart disease, cancer, stroke, diabetes. And basically, if you're eating a plant-based diet, you're eating a high sugar diet because plants are made of sugar, by the way, all plants, vegetables, fruit, fiber, seeds, and nuts. So
how is that? Why are those made of sugars? I never considered those to be sugar-based.
Well, it's either made of fat, protein, or sugar. And if you think of science, I mean, this is really simple science. Carbon dioxide is in the air. You and I can't see it,
right?
But it's the building block of most of plants, basically, of photosynthesis. And basically carbon dioxide plus sunlight and water will build a long carbon chain called sugar, carbohydrates, starch, cellulose. Those are all basically sugar particles. So when you eat them, you grind them down, you micronize them in your gut. Your body doesn't know the difference between sugar cane, honey, maple syrup, and kale, unfortunately. And so if you really dig deep and understand the science of the human body, there's only fatty acids and amino acids that are required in the human diet. We have no requirement to ever eat fruit, fiber, vegetables, seeds, or nuts. And as it turns out, that a high plant-based diet is fermenting in the gut. So the microbes in the gut love you because you eat plants. Well, microbes in the gut make alcohol. So you may not be drinking it, but you're making it.
Wow.
Our children are suffering because they're eating a plant-based diet. They're making alcohol in their gut. I suffer from ADHD, OCD, depression, dyslexia. I grew up in LA, kicked out of school in a gang, couldn't read, my father in jail.
Wow.
I blame that background due to a plant-based, low animal fat diet.
So the meat of the cow that I eat, okay, it's eating plants all day long. So how do I?
Its evolution is a plant eater. We do not have a ruminating gut. We have a gut like a dog, a cat, a lion, and a wolf. Lions and wolves that are fed plants become domesticated animals, dogs and cats. You and I are domesticated animals. We are addicted to the plants we eat because they make us feel good. Heroin, cocaine, marijuana, nicotine, caffeine come from plants.
Wow.
There is no toxic chemical that comes from beef.
Wow, that's interesting.
And if you think about it, the king and the queen's meal is meat. But it's the fatty cut of the meat that's the healthiest thing to eat. The peasants, the prisoners, the slaves, and the soldiers ate the mush, which kept them weak and meek, and begging for more beer and bread. You can control the masses on beer and bread, but if you feed the masses fatty meat, they will become the masters. So if you and I or anyone else wants to change their mindset, you want to start by eating the proper human diet, as my good friend Ken Berry says.
So now I know how I got on this plant thing. I read the book or saw the movie, the popular one.
Well, let's see. It's Forks Over Knives.
No.
It's the China study, and basically, we are led to believe that a plant-based diet is the best thing for humans.
Yeah, because I got on this thing. I saw this movie. It was my wife's been vegan or pescatarian, whatever she calls herself. Movie about plant-based. What was it on Netflix? The Game Changers. Game Changers.
Forks Over Game Changers. Yeah, and ultimately, look at. I'm not telling you be a carnivore and you're going to live 100 years.
Yeah. No, dude.
I have no idea how long anyone's going to live. None of us do.
I'm with you. I just want to. I'm just talking about. I got on this thing. I saw it. It made sense to me. I'm like, oh wow. The statement they make. The bull doesn't ever eat meat. The bull's strong. I'm like, shit. I want to be strong and I want to live as long as possible. I'm going to eat plants. That's how I got on this thing. So you're telling me how long should I be on a meat or a carnivore diet only before I'm going to see some changes?
2 to 4 weeks.
So what would my diet look like for 2 to 4 weeks?
Well, I've got the bacon, eggs, butter, beef.
Oh, that's what Beavis means, huh?
Salt. I mean, this is the standard that I recommend. It's a little radical. I even do a little bit of ice cream because I love ice cream, and I will do a little bit of honey or fruit or sugar but it's sparingly and infrequently.
Uh-huh.
And so it really is the lion's diet, or the lion's way is simply fatty meat, salt, and water. That's the ultimate elimination diet. But it's, to me, beef, or ruminant meat, but beef is the very best. It's the king and queen's meal.
Uh-huh. So you're saying, so I have bacon and eggs in the morning.
Well, I typically do one meal a day at night.
And you call that, what do you call that? Nomad? Or you call it nomad?
OMAD. One meal a day, OMAD, and I do it at night because I think feasting and then resting and digesting is really what we're geared to do. If you think evolutionarily, we hunted and then we feasted around the fire. We told our stories, and then we rested.
Yeah.
And digested.
Now, what about the body not being able to rest well because it's digesting its meat? The body's digesting at night, and that's considered work.
Well, the GI tract never stops.
Uh-huh.
And so if you're eating a plant-based diet, you're fermenting and you're making a lot of gas.
Uh-huh.
And so you may have a lot of bloating and other problems, but I will still tell you that the blood flow in digestion is better to go to the bowels and not to the muscles. So the best work for digestion is during rest time. Remember, there's lots of things we've said in order to make us believe something. 3 meals a day, best thing ever. Well, if you're trying to cut calories, why don't you just go to 1 meal a day? And it's so easy. Plus, fasting is one of the most important things anyone can do, not eating. I do a 5-day fast, January, July. I typically do a 3-day fast once a month, and I'll throw in a 2-day fast here and there. But fasting is one of the most powerful spiritual things you can do. The ability to say no to food, to be done with the addiction, is one of the most powerful things that any of us can do. And that's one of the things that I've learned over my 67 plus years of evolution. And I'm learning every single day. And I will touch a little bit of cookie cake or ice cream, but I almost never eat salad, which I call nature's toilet paper.
And that's good. So you believe that we got on the vegetable bin because they're trying to kill the meat industry? I mean, like when I go to Whole Foods, they make more money selling me meat than they do vegetables, right? Or am I wrong on that?
Well, okay. I'm not espousing there's a conspiracy in any way. Okay. We have been plant eaters for thousands of years, and likely we became plant eaters because hunting the animals got harder. It is not easy to do. But remember, in order to have large agriculture communities, you must have soldiers, slaves, peasants, and prisoners. You went from little clans of hunters to larger and larger communities, and feeding those larger communities required a collective social, cultural, communistic approach to life, when in fact, I think we are ultimately the lions, the wolves, and the hunters of the world, but we've lost that. And it's hard to go back to just strictly being a meat eater. But there's great meat being produced today, and finding local grass-fed, pasture-raised meats is, I think, changing our health. And there are many people on this keto carnivore bandwagon or directive, which I see health and wellness shining in people that hasn't shined for years.
So, to the grocery store, the profit margins, like, are you saying there's more money to be made, or they just can't scale enough meat for 8 billion people? I mean, why would they want?
Well, again, we've been in the plant-based evolution for thousands of years. To suddenly say, okay, let's get rid of plants and let's everyone eat meat is not going to happen. And I'm not espousing that.
That's right.
I'm just as a doctor, you come to me and you've got a problem, I would look at your diet first. And what do you put in your mind and your mouth, and what do you do with your miracle machine, the human Ferrari, I call it. And so the mindset to not eat vegetables is such a hard thing to change. We're having a conversation to try to make sense of it. I couldn't, but I did the experiment on myself. And that's when bowel bleeding, hemorrhoids gone in 1 month. Arthritis, psoriasis gone, migraines gone. And so I've got people getting pregnant, endo goes away, migraines go away. Women who don't ovulate suddenly ovulate and get pregnant. Plants contain sugar, chemicals, antigens, and ferment in your gut. What more do you need from that? What toxic chemical comes from eating a ribeye steak? Nothing. Heart disease is caused by glycation. That means rusting in the vessels secondary to a plant-based, low animal fat diet, which is pretty radical to understand. But the science, I think, is clear. But the problem is we're all arguing. No more arguing. If you are not feeling well, add more fat, eat less frequently, and cook the carbohydrates well to minimize them into simple sugars and kill the bacteria and yeast. So if you choose to be a vegetarian or a Mediterranean, you can still eat plants, but if you're still sick, go to fatty meat and you'll be better than ever. Some people can't tolerate butter, cream, or cheese or eggs very well. And some people need to look at different meats, lamb, goat, pork in some cases, or most people, I believe it's going right to beef.
So let's just talk about the best meats. Okay, I'm 65 years old. What do you think the best meats for me to be on? If you were going to guess right now, I know you don't have enough data on me, but I want to build. I'm having trouble holding on to muscle, right? Like any man my age.
So you're because when you eat plants, they contain estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. They suppress your natural testosterone production, and they are inflammatory to the muscles. So for me, I do ribeye. I do ribeye, fatty ribeye with butter. That's my everyday meal.
Okay.
I do weightlifting, and I do resistance work. But I do a tremendous amount of mental work. I do a lot of reading. I love your books. I audiobook all the time. I do spirituality. I believe in God. I practice faith every day. I think that's something people are losing the understanding how powerful that is. But to me, it's bacon, eggs, butter, beef, and salt. It's crazy. It's a radical concept. But if you look at people like Sean Baker, Anthony Chavey, Ken Berry, many more people are out there beginning to share this story.
So the fat you talked about butters. What butter?
Well, I do Amish butter, Kerrygold butter. I do Butter Boy from Wegmans, which is a French butter. It's the very best. But look for small batch butters. You can even make butter at home by buying really great raw creams if you can get them. I dry age my meat at home. I love Snake River, our ancestors, foods.com. So many great local ranchers, local farmers. I'm not telling people not to eat any plants.
Yeah, I know you're not. Hey, just don't worry about them. Just worry about me. Like, what would you? I'm a fanatic. I'm an all-in guy. When I go do something, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go hard on that one thing, and I'm going to prove it out whether it works or not. So I'm going to give this thing 2 weeks. What would you tell me to do? Knowing you're not giving me medical advice, I'm not going to make any claim against you. Me and you're just going to have a little bit of a go at getting me in the best shape of my life.
Well, fatty meat, salt water. When I say salt water, you should be drinking mineral water. And I think that's great. And again, you can eat as much.
What does that mean, mineral water? What is that? You don't mean?
Well, there are lots of mineral waters out there. I do Gerolsteiner, but there are a lot of mineral
you talking
waters
about the bubble
out
water?
there. Well, no, there's mineral water and there's carbonated water. But basically you want to make sure it has a good mineral content, magnesium, calcium. These minerals are missing in our waters that we're drinking because they're mostly been processed and removed all the minerals and vitamins. Again, all of it is in the water. Now the vitamins, by the way, are in the meat. And the plants chelate and remove those vitamins and minerals from your body. But if you look at some of the stuff, we have a couple of cookbooks out on drkiltz.com, but I keep it simple. Bacon, eggs, butter, beef, salt.
Bacon, eggs. That's what the BEBUS. The BEBUS stands for bacon, eggs,
butter, beef, and the I is intermittently feasting and ice cream, which you make. It's not bought ice cream. It's cream, eggs, and you can add a little bit of vanilla. And some people add a little bit of cane sugar or maple syrup or honey, or basically none of that.
Yeah. Okay. So if I don't go one time a day, the best diet I was ever on was when I was eating every 2 hours. Like I'm not eating until about 1 o'clock in the afternoon right now. Okay. I have not noticed, I didn't get any weight loss from it. I didn't have a spiritual awakening because of it. Maybe I need to go 5 days. I don't know. But if I don't go, why would I lose weight if I'm eating every 2 hours?
Well, one, if you're probably eating a plant-based diet.
No. I was eating all meat. It was all protein. It was complete, total protein.
No, it's fatty meat. It's not a high protein diet. It's a high fat diet.
What's the difference?
The fat suppresses inflammation and appetite. Protein breaks down to amino acids, which ultimately breaks down to sugar. It converts to fat. When you eat fat, you suppress your appetite better than when you eat protein. So really, carnivore, keto, and paleo are high fat nutritional plans, which suppress your appetite. Now, I don't recommend every 2 hours. You can do 3 meals a day if you want. But as you begin to do this, you begin to feel better. Where lions eat maybe once a day or a few times a week. Hunting animals and eating like that, we're not meant to eat 3 to 6 meals a day. We're meant to eat less frequently, more fasting. Your body is a magic miracle machine. It's the most expensive, valuable, irreplaceable entity you've ever been created. And ultimately, you make fat so you can go days or weeks without food. That's essentially what fat is for.
So where do I get fatty meats?
Go to your local butcher. Go to your local farmer. I do a lot online.
I'm in Miami. We don't have a local farmer here, man.
Well, there are local farmers markets, by the way. Look at my website. We have some links there. I love Snake River Farms. I mean, it's a little more pricey, but I always buy the Wagyu A5, Alpine Butchers. I grew online a tremendous, but there's some local butchers out there, and we can get you some links if you look at my website.
Okay.
But again, I don't make it difficult. You're going to get a chance to taste different meats because you're going to be a connoisseur of meat over wine. I do love a very good glass of wine from time to time, but now I just eat fatty meat with butter and salt, and I'm like, this is amazing. Wagyu, the very best. If you want to go to Japanese A5, that's another great one. But I just Google online. But Snake River Farms, there are some locals in Miami and right here in Sarasota, there's stuff. Look at ourancestorsfoods.com. It's got some great stuff, but it's there. And there's only one experiment to prove this, by the way. That's you.
That's right. Okay.
That's all there is.
Give me the prescription. Just tell, if you've been with me 30 minutes, tell me what it is. One time a day.
Faith in God first.
Okay, got it. Got that.
In general, eat one meal, fatty meat, and I call it the baby's way. Bacon, eggs, butter, beef, and you don't need to limit it. but that's the very best thing to do once a day. I do it at night because I look forward to that beautiful one meal where I can enjoy it with my family, my friends, my partner. But you'll find that you'll finish your meal, you'll be done. You can move on to more energized work.
Okay, so once a day, how much fatty meat should I eat that day?
Well, I'm 5'6", about 150 pounds. I tend to do about a fistful of food a day, but you don't even think so hard. Eat till you're satiated and then be done with it. Save it for the next day, a snack tomorrow if you want. But that's the way I do it. Some of my friends are big muscle builders. They do a lot of weights. They do a lot of work. They add more caloric intake. But I'm just a small guy. I'm not listening. I do my weights. I'm not looking to bulk up. I'm just looking to enjoy the day and be creative in this day. And then I think it's important to do some resistance work. Once a day, every couple of days is good because as we age, it is harder to build the muscle and do all those things. I have a low testosterone, but I do not supplement at all. And I can tell you, I think the numbers we're told are wrong. On this diet, I feel better than ever before, and I don't take supplements or steroids.
No. But what about other like? Well, before I go to supplements, let me ask you, what else do I eat with this piece of meat? Rice?
No sides.
Potatoes?
Infrequently in small amounts for a treat, but the majority of what you're eating, again, it's bacon, eggs, butter, beef, and salt. If you want to put some shrimp, some scallops, some lobster dipped in butter, go at it. But in general, remember, there's no requirement in the human body, the human diet, for fruit, fiber, vegetables, seeds, nuts, rice, potatoes, grass, or grains. I always say they basically, grass or grains will fry our brains. And ultimately, they're not good for us, but we love them because they make us feel better.
My friend Dana White, he's got a keto cook. The guy sends me these recipes. He's like, Grant, if you want to do what Dana does, this is the keto diet. What does keto mean, and how do I get it?
Well, keto is confusing because you can eat anything on keto. Technically, keto means a high-fat diet. And you're eating in a way that technically your ketone bodies will show up in your urine or your blood. But I don't search for those, or I don't care, because keto, again, is the waiting room or the entryway to the carnivore way. Ultimately, carnivore is easy. You know what a lion eats? That's what you eat.
Deer.
But paleo, keto, Atkins, 30 this, 30 that. I have no idea. I'm not that smart.
Yeah. You're just saying, so I go to the butcher and say, bro, I want the fattiest meat you have. What is that? Okay. Where do I get that? That's on your website?
Yeah, this is all on our website. Go to my website, drkiltz.com. This stuff is radical. Again, we're worried about heart disease. We're worried about, Alzheimer's and dementia. And I believe that a plant-based diet that is pushed on all of us for too long is increasing all the diseases. My company, I have about a 500-person company, and our health insurance went up $3 million in 3 years. Our people, our team members, I think, are getting sicker and sicker. We see it in younger people getting cancer, heart disease, depression, suicide, all these things. And carnivore, I think, is the cure, in my opinion.
So what are some meats that are not fatty? Like
Chicken, turkey, fish. Fish is raised in the waters of the world that are highly contaminated. And so I typically don't eat fish. I will do beef, it's best, preferably pasture raised, free range. That's going to be best. I particularly like grain finished because I like the fattier meats personally.
What is that? What does that say that again?
So there's all cattle are grass fed,
Uh-huh.
and then they're either grass finished or grain finished. Now, some people are really believe that the grass finished is the very best. I don't think we've proven that. In my opinion, I have a preferable taste for the grain finished, and that's what I typically will eat.
Where were you on the vaccine?
I have no comment.
Okay, where are you on vaccinating animals?
Um, I don't get vaccines today. I did get the vaccine because in order to practice in the hospital, I was required. I know a lot more about it. I'm not a fan of them. I think if we get healthier, we will find out that our risk of these infections goes way down.
Yeah.
If you think about the major infections of the globe, they're secondary to crowding, community crowding, and inflammation, which is all secondary to a plant-based, sugar-based diet and what I believe lack of eating fatty meat. And if you read James Henry Salisbury's work, Salisbury Steak, he was a physician, graduated Albany Med in 1850. He found that as men in the Civil War were dying of dysentery and pneumonia, he switched them from a plant-based to an animal-based diet, and they all healed. But he did the science, the microscopic work, the chemical work, and he did studies on the men he was working with to show that the plant-based diet was the deadly diet.
What creatine? Okay, I was encouraged to take creatine. Inflamed me highly, like it was.
Yeah, I don't take supplements
No
because
supplements.
I don't take any supplements because the meat, and I think personally that liver is good for us. The organ meats are good for us. The bone marrow, the bone broth, the fat contains and the meat contains the minerals and vitamins. And so I don't think we need any of those things. And
Uh-huh.
if you simply eat fatty meat, like my good friend Anthony Chafee does, and he lifts heavy weights, he's built his muscles. Now he's probably half our age, and so it's easier when you're younger, I believe. But I don't do any of those supplements. I don't think they're necessary. I don't even know where they came from.
So what do you think about all these trends right now? Like, and it seems like every year we're doing a different trend. You mentioned some of them, the Atkins, the Paleontology, and now we're doing cold plunges and red light therapies. What do you, and look, my company, 10X Health System, we do a tremendous amount of business in some of these spaces. The new thing is the blue methylene drops. Talk to me about which one of these trends are bullshit and which ones are like, hey, this one might have some merit.
Well, I don't know that I call them bullshit.
Yeah.
I think everyone's finding a stepping stone to where they want to go. And so I've probably done all those things at some point. I'm kind of into cold plunges. I don't hang out in them. It's just something hard to do. When you can do something hard, it makes them easier.
Yeah.
And so, you're in the hard work life and you're teaching people that you 10X it and you can do anything.
Yeah.
I always say if you've got a pulse, you're capable of everything and anything. And so don't tell me you're incapable. Physiologically, we're the same. I just don't do those things much anymore because I think I've gotten to a certain point in my life that I keep it simple. I'm not that smart anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there's some validity to some of these things for some people, but the placebo is a pretty powerful thing. When my mother, comforted me and gave me some chicken soup and made me feel better, I felt better.
Right.
I don't know which it was, but I'll take all of them.
Yeah.
But I think that, we're bringing people together and we're inspiring them. sometimes, I've been through the Tony Robbins and I've used all the supplements. But again, I look at them as stepping stones. And you've got to put yourself where you want to be at this moment. I don't know the right thing for anyone else but me. But as a 67, almost 68-year young guy that has come through much in his life, I fly jets, I fly airplanes, I'm a potter, a painter, I write books, I do blogging and all these things. I love growing businesses. I think we're all here to learn from each other.
And I appreciate you taking your time with everything you got going on, from flying planes to being an artist to writing books. Appreciate you sharing your time here today. What would you say about the contrarian opinion about this all meat diet? What are they going to say? Why you're wrong? I'm sure you've heard it all.
I would agree with them. I'm wrong.
There you go.
I don't fight pigs. Pigs like mud. And no disrespect. What I mean is that it's like politics and religion. Food, politics, and religion, you're trying to convince people based on their culture, their religions, their upbringing. But all I can say is that I didn't believe this, but then I did it. And I'm like, okay, like what's going on? And so I would say, if you're suffering and what you're doing isn't working, why wouldn't you simply do something that's based on our thousand, if not millions of years of human evolution? And physiologically, we're the same. DNA, we're almost identical. We're not different. If I cut you open, I'm a surgeon, same organs. If I look under a microscope, I don't know who you are. I've been listening to Nick Lane and reading his books on evolution and the theory of the evolution of life. Nick Lane, really amazing guy. I love his stuff. He's an author, but he's a great scientist. And what I'm learning is I love learning. I love learning about vegetables and fruit and science and all these things that we're talking about. But I always ask the question, is that really true? I know that's the science we've been taught, but maybe it's wrong. I mean, I believe that insulin's job is to convert amino acids and sugars in the liver to fat. That's it. We're meant to get fat in order to survive the famines, the pestilence, the wars, the diseases. Being overweight is not the cause of any disease. You got fat and unhealthy because you ate a plant-based diet. That's all.
Which all the produce, the manufactured products, the chips and those are plant-based. You're saying those are not made out of meats.
I mean, think about it. All the sodas, all the basic products are made out of plants. So if someone says to me that vegetables are good, but somehow this plant-based manufactured processed thing is not, when they're in your gut, the human body says sugar.
Yeah, right.
It doesn't go kale or potato chips. It says sugar. It knows what to do with sugar. It wants you to eat sugar because the human body wants you to be fat, fast. And, why can't we all be skinny? Because the human brain is saying, are you an idiot? War, pestilence, disease? You go hunting for food today and see how easy it is to find it. If you're skinny, you're fertilizer. I'm just a simple guy that asked the question, is that really true? And my theory is that a plant-based, low animal fat diet and eating 3 to 6 meals a day, which is our recommended healthy nutrition, is the cause of the significant increase in every disease you and I know.
Dude, I love this. I appreciate your time today. I'm going to give this 2 weeks, okay? 10 days or 14 days?
Well, I would give it 4 weeks, but start at 2.
Okay, I'll give it 4 weeks.
I mean, and if you don't have my cell phone,
I'll get it.
It's 315-416-9872.
Okay.
By the way, anyone in this globe could Google my cell number, because my job as a physician is to give people information to help them be healthy. I'm not alive in order to hide behind something. I give out all my information for free, by the way. Anyone can find it.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. And next time I'm in Sarasota, that's one of my favorite real estate markets in the country right now.
Well, I'm all over the place, but I'm here. I love what you're doing, my friend. And but you can have all the money in the world, but if you're finding your health being lost,
100%,
nothing matters. And this is an idea that is a game changer. But I'm just here to share some ideas that you might find, wow.
Let me ask you this last question. If there was a conspiracy, okay, why would whoever be interested in people being on a plant-based diet as opposed to meat eaters? And you mentioned this in the beginning, I think.
It's really simple. Money is the master of the world. The British brought opium to China in order to control the masses, to make more money. Okay? Sugarcane and slavery was moved around the world in order to make what? More money for the wealthiest people of the world. Now, I'm not saying, look at, I make a lot of money. I love it. And but ultimately, why? Power and control. But who doesn't want power and control? In some way, we all want power and control, but it's built into our nature. And so, ultimately, why? It's human nature.
You think plants make people weak?
Well, okay. So plants are actually the predators. They're live organisms that know how to control you, by the way. And absolutely, plants make us weak and meek. I mean, put a cookie, cake, and ice cream in front of me, and I go weak. And ultimately, plants are live organisms that have manipulated you and I since the dawn of time.
Thank you so much.
That's actually true.
Thank you so much, my friend. I appreciate it. Look forward to meeting you in person, okay? Thanks for your time.
All right, I look forward to it. God bless you, my friend. Look forward to talking.
Thanks.
All right.